Alright. It is time for this week's I Cast Your Freaking Awesome Replays, and we are going to be casting the Corporate Greed Challenge, where players had to try and touch 100 workers at least one point in the game. I have no idea what we're in for. I do know that if you're forced to mine from the very beginning of the game until you've got 100 workers, that's a long time. And something you all might have noticed is these workers do not get breaks. There's no smoke break. Someone in chat pointed out that apparently he said he was reading into the policy of SCVs, drones, and probes. And if you go inside the hatchery on the wall, there's a little billboard, and printed on it says, actually, you do need to take a mandatory 15-minute break every hour, but you need to spend that 15-minute break watching the Emoji Movie. And since none of these drones are suicidal, they are all going to actually choose to just keep mining instead, because honestly, nobody wants to do that. Up here in the top left, in the red, with the workers basically having the shittiest worker conditions in all of humanity, in the red, it's Drone Forever. And I assume the player's actually going to drone forever. These are usually ladder replays where only one player sent in the replay, but this name seems telling. I feel like the Zerg player is going to be the one playing the challenge. Up here in the top right, in the blue, it's Dan. Bloody Dan over here on the right-hand side. Probes also have a pretty shitty time, and they are robots, so you'd think they don't have feelings, but I like to imagine every single probe is kind of like, what's his name from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? Marvin? It's Marvin, right? I like to imagine every probe basically has the demeanor of that goddamn Marvin robot. Yeah. Basically just constantly negative, really pissed off and sad all the time, and just upset generally with how shitty his orders are and his life purpose, since he doesn't get to actually define what he wants to achieve and do in his life. Over here on the left, it looks like a 3-hatch before pool for Drone Forever, and you're gonna see how this going. Why is your name Drone Forever? Oh no, Dan is starting to understand, I think, the predicament he might be in. Drone Forever, not trying to hide anything, says, I like drones. Dan says, cool. And can we give a special shout out to Dan's wall, by the way, guys? I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure if you stand a Zealot right in the middle, it can block this whole area, right? I'm pretty sure. Yeah, for sure. You guys ever seen... You ever seen a single bouncer try to stop 4,000 people like rushing backstage if there's like fucking Justin Bieber or something? I'm pretty sure that's what this is going to look like if we end up with a single Zealot trying to stop Zerglings getting in there. It's, let's hope it's a thick Zealot. Let's hope for that one. A couple Stalkers are out for Dan so far, and he's just chilling. Little does Dan know, there's a cheeky pervert up here sitting on the high ground, just kind of watching. Looking, he'd like a glimpse of the probes and like a glimpse of everything. Doesn't really know what's going on. You can see the flashing lights on the side of the Nexus. Ooh, and a Stalker steps into his vision. The Overlord immediately starts just being very happy because he loves to just watch in the shadows, casually throb, have a good time. I like it, but I don't have many for it. I don't even know if this makes sense. In the context of the conversation, Drone says, how about you? Like, as in, do you like drones? And Dan says, I like it, but don't have many for it. This is an interesting conversation. I'm not sure my knowledge of how you normally speak words to each other really applies to this situation. I think it's a different level of communication. I think the most impressive thing is Dan's commitment to having zero vision on the map and no wall off. Honestly, that to me is the most impressive. That's a 4th hatchery. That's a 5th hatchery. And Drone Forever has a grand total of 0 fighting units. 3 queens, 40 drones, and it's about to get a whole lot worse. So here at the top of the mountain, remember guys, what is the most valuable metal in the world? Everyone knows it's gold, definitely. Absolutely. So we do have a Gold League game, and I believe that Drone Forever is just relying on this one pervy boy to see if anything comes his way. And it's actually perfect. He's like, if you move out, I'll build units. Till then, I'm just going to chill. Now, the pervert does see them move out. Dan sends a hallucination and then pulls it back to the army, and then sends it across the map. Okay, first vision for Diodan. Can you both follow a unit and vision? Yes, we can. There we go. Me hotkey is messed around a little bit. But, I like that. He's like, oh, you got a base down here? That's a little bit odd. What's, okay, fair enough. Comes down here. There's another base there. There's one, that's got workers on it already, does it? Now let's go to Diodan's camera and let's try and surmise, do we think Diodan actually looked at that scout at any moment, or has any real comprehension of the fact that he's up against the greediest Zerg of all time and is literally so far behind if he doesn't do something right about now? I'm going to go ahead and say, yeah, I think he realized. He's moving across 4 Zealots, 2 Sentries, 5 or 6 Stalkers, no Warp-in Pylon, no Warp Prism. But you know what? Gonna go do some pressure, try and slow down the corporate greed, try and free some of these sweatshop drones over here. The problem is there are 57 of them, and Drone Forever. Remember, these pervy boys all over the map, they've seen the army coming, and that is a butt ton of Zerglings. Now, unfortunately, sticking with the whole kind of terrible worker conditions, it's also terribly equipped army. This is basically a bunch of like, this is like some disgusting child soldier shit. They don't even have Zergling speed. Completely untrained. And they are not going to be able to go into battle until they get at least a couple of wings to make them run faster. Drone Forever is going to take out this base. Is like, ha! You're back to just 4 bases now. Get wrecked. And now we see the revenge of the slow Zerglings. Diodan decides to move command into them. And remember, guys, Guardian Shield, the ability which protects you from range attacks, going to double activate, because sometimes it's nice to have a bubble on top of you while your units get killed. Now, let's be real. Did salvage the situation. Diodan recalls home there. Is like, it's all good, just hanging out at my third. The question is, does he realize there's a Nydus worm poking its little butthole head out inside of his main? It's spitting dirt out. It's digging through the ground. It wants to vomit an army of Zerg into the base. He gets it. He gets it. A bunch of drones pop out. Holy shit. Seriously, can you be any more of a douchebag, Drone Forever? It was a distraction. Ling's hitting the third. The drone's just sitting in the main base, having a little bit of fun. And Diodan, with the F2A move, reacts to the third base and lets a new Nydus pop in the main. Once again, move commanding into those Zerglings beautifully. No Guardian Shield energy, unfortunately, so doesn't get the bubble, which does nothing. And we are going to see another Nydus worm. Mass drone popping out in the main. Drone Forever says, let's go. I don't know if the drones are to fight. I don't know if they're cheerleaders. Are they going to stack up into a pyramid and start to do cheers for the queens? No, they're going to turn into spine crawlers. Diodan says, what the fuck? And remember, guys, it's always very important to prioritize typing in chat rather than building pylons to get on supply block. Diodan, he moves up here and does actually take this Zerg army to Dicktown. So not too bad of a defense. More queens coming in. Drone Forever dropping like 1 out of a potential 27 transfuses available. Amazing Florencio level micro from Drone Forever there. There was maybe 16 to 20 transfusers stacked up on those queens and only 1 lands. Drone Forever knowing how to BM the opponent. And of course, also, unfortunately, creating some acne on the opponent's face. In the main base, there are creep tumors that are going to keep on spreading creep. There's a hatchery there. Diodan's like, I'm losing probes at me third. Leave me alone, man. These Zerglings are just having a party. This is like throwing a bunch of children into a jumping castle. They're like, oh, yes, my favorite thing, a jumping castle. Oh, we get to just kill Protoss things. The Protoss are like, don't hurt the children. Just no, we don't believe in violence against Zerglings. We're going to just let them do their thing. And yet another cheeky butt starting to poke its head out of the ground. It goes, and starts to vomit drones. Again, I like it. Mass spine crawler in the main base. Diodan, meanwhile, chasing a random overlord with the entire army. The height of decision-making under pressure. You know, right when everything's on the line, Diodan identifies the highest priority threat, this single pervy boy, and decides to send the whole army there while the main base is getting ravaged by drones. A Zealot's worst nightmare being killed by the unit that you're meant to prey upon. This is like a bunch of gazelle eating a few lions. This is sick. This is disgusting. Oh my god, even more. Even more of these lions getting surrounded. The gazelle just going absolutely apeshit. This is what happens if you feed Ritalin to a pack of gazelle, by the way. This is why, you know what? Oh god. Oh, that one barely survives. They're like, tell your friends about the revenge of the gazelle, motherfucker. Meanwhile, spine crawlers popping up in the main base. The Nydus worm goes down. Diodan is really trying to fathom what the fuck is happening because he's never experienced StarCraft like this ever before. Drone forever. Large, in charge, and still at over 50 workers behind this despite losing. How many are we at now? It says 27. It's a lot. 61. I think it might even be more than that since so many of them turned into spine crawlers, which instantly died. So I think we're going to go ahead and say Drone Forever has casually taken about 80 of the people that literally don't even get paid money. They just get bored. They get bored and like a bowl of gruel each day as sustenance. And all they got to do is work in the mineral sweatshops and then occasionally get loaded into a Nydus worm and be forced to fight a bunch of angry Protoss lions. I mean, that seems like a good deal. If your idea of a good deal involves terrible, terrible exploitation of workers, generally not giving a frack about human life, working conditions, or basic human/Zerg rights, and instead you just care about being a greedy piece of shit who wins in the most embarrassing way possible. Yet again, more queens pop out, refusing to transfuse that Nydus worm. The Zealots, the Stalkers on top of it this time, are like, really? What are you even doing, mate? This is about as silly as you could get. I'm just going to kill every single one of these. Unfortunately for Diodan, there is zero detection, and so the acne, these little tumorous acne pimple heads, are not being popped. You know, sometimes you do just need to pop a pimple, and these pimples definitely need popping, but the distraction is complete. The drones popping out down at the third base. Queens, drones. Oh, God, even more acne. Ah, disgusting. God damn it, Zerg. Get out of here. These drones, once again, just kind of standing. It's not really creating a cheerleader pyramid, but oh, look at that. They pop out, and then they go, haha, pulled you out of position. Guess what? I'm going to pop out in your main base now. Diodan is like, I friggin' hate Whack-A-Mole. It's the worst game. I don't play it at the carnival for a reason. Can you stop pulling me this way and that way? Just stop it. Stop it. It's bullshit. More and more spines trying to go up. The queens are going to try to buy time for these spines. Once again, though, Charge Zealots say, no. Stop it. Stop it, you idiot. I like how Drone Forever, you know, it could be an instant pop out at the third, but it's as soon as he unloads, then he starts to pop the Nydus worm out down here. Why not? Why not? I think Diodan is probably screeching at his monitor right now. His or her monitor. It's probably going, can you friggin' stop it? The problem is, this pervy boy on the high ground. Diodan can't see that pervy boy, no high ground vision, so he can just keep popping Nydus worms. There's creep there. There's creep in the main. At any point, more Nydus worms can pop up. And Diodan is trapped between a Nydus worm and a Zerg place. And basically what that involves for a Protoss player is waking up with a fucking cold sweat, having nightmares of Zerglings chewing up your face, overlords pooping on your base, and Nydus worms popping up in your backyard. You hear a noise in the night, you go open your back door, there's a Nydus worm there, bunch of queens standing around scratching each other's backs, and a bunch of drones turning into spine crawlers, and you're like, what the fuck, man? Get out of my backyard. This is my house. And then you call the police, and the police don't come because they think you're making shit up because you're like, what? They're like, what's a Nydus worm? And you're like, well, it's this thing this fucker has. But hey, guess what? Observer! Oh, cleared up the acne in the main base, and he's actually going to be able to get down here and maybe even get rid of that pervy boy on the high ground as well. Is Diodan actually going to stabilize? Diodan has a shit ton of money, and there is actually a chance that Diodan could somehow win the game if Drone Forever just keeps screwing around much longer. Once again, the spine crawl is failing to get up. Drone Forever not hitting the main base at the same time. The queens get ravaged. They do take out a couple of zealots. I think like 2 zealots died here. And once again, every spine and spore is going to go down. And wait for it. It's when everything gets cleared up, that's when Drone Forever is going to pop the Nydus worm in the main. Remember, waiting for the opponent to have fully cleared up one problem before creating another. Let's go for it. 3, 2, 1, Nydus worm. Okay, let's be real. Diodan learnt to split the army. It's fine. I can't even make fun of Drone Forever for dragging this one out. Drone Forever is the richest person in the world. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, the Icyfar challenge for next week is extremely inefficient weapon, where you have to win in the least efficient way possible. I'm going to go ahead and say I think this game applies to next week's challenge as well as this week's, because right now we are watching a man with way too much money just throw shit into the meat grinder and still be ahead because there's 88 workers behind it. 88! Disgusting. Utterly disgusting. Roaches and drones pop out, start taking out probes in that base. Roaches at the third as well. Deodan still with the larger army right now. I don't think we've seen Blink used all game. Stalkers aren't going to come down there. Drones versus Stalkers. Revenge of the Gazelle round 2. This time there's just as many Lions as there are Gazelle, and it doesn't matter how much Ritalin you've taken. That is going to amp you. I like how I'm saying Ritalin, as if ADD medication's going to suddenly give you, like, steroid rage. But you know what? We don't need to be accurate with our pharmaceutical metaphors here. The point is the hunted turn on the hunters. And sometimes the hunters get fucked up, but usually the hunters still end up eating them. Speaking of which, these Stalkers hold strong, hold firm, and finally that pervy Overlord gets knocked off the high ground. This one still somehow just surviving here and seeing everything all game long. He's still having a little bit of a casual throb if you look closely. Just kind of, yeah, just casually throbbing. You can tell he's quite moist in there. It's a pretty disgusting unit. The Zerg in general, I mean, let's just do a little look at the Zerg anatomy, shall we? We've got, I don't know what that is on top of there. But I did watch the movie Teeth, and this reminds me of that film. That's disgusting. What else have we got? We got a little... Oh my god, what even... Why, if the Nydus Worm's job is to have Zerg units jump in it, why are there spikes on the inside? Is that to, like, exfoliate their back? What the fuck? Abathur, this is poorly designed. I've been speaking about it for a while. People say, oh, Abathur's a genius. He created all these awesome Zerg mutations. I don't know. I think he's a sick puppy. Who puts spikes on the inside of the Nydus Worm? Who does that? That's not cool. So, I don't know, man. I feel like the spawning pool is the only nice one. I mean, that just looks like a good place to swim. It looks like a hot spa in there. Hop in, have a swim around in the green goo. You get nice and moist. I mean, the roach warren just makes sense as well. That's just a little warren. You can see a little roach in there poking his head in and out. That's the roach who's too afraid to come out and fight. So we just let him hang out in the roach warren. He gets to guard it. He's the warden of the roach warren. Extractors like to throb a little bit, but that makes sense. That makes sense. They've got gas in them. Vespene gas. It's very, yeah, very, very interesting. Here we've got, oh wow, little vortex on this map. Isn't that cool? Very nice. Of course, this is the map with bloody Amon in the top center of it. For those of you who don't know, Year Zero is the name of the map. And, yeah. He looks a little bit like Davy Jones and Cthulhu had a baby. And this guy came out. He's got the tentacle beard going. The squid beard, just like Davy Jones. Very, very Cthulhu inspired. He does look quite large, doesn't he? Personally, I wish we could get a full view of his body. Like, is he just tentacles there? Like, it looks like he's attached to something. It's kind of hard to see. Did we ever get to 100 workers, by the way, guys? Because right now it's only 87. Nine did just build, which means we're up at like 96? Did we hit 100? I'm not sure if we actually hit 100 at any point, but we'll see how it goes. So, a little bit of chat there. I'm trying to be creative, and Deodan is just going to keep massing Stalkers. We're going to give a little tip out to anyone out there who's new to intermediate StarCraft player, hasn't been playing for too long. If you're Protoss, don't build Stalkers unless you really have a good purpose for them. You build a few in the early game. Once you get past like 5 minutes, just don't build them. These are one of the lowest damage output, worst stats units in the game, which only have value if you have insanely good micro with that blink. And yet, time after time, we see mass Blink Stalker. 38 Stalkers out for Protoss. Now, on the plus side, these are unupgraded Roaches and Queens. Unfortunately for Deodan, Deodan's army is attacking in a little bit of disarray. He's coming in with a flank from the north, though. There's a lot of Queens back there. Let's see if Drone Forever once again shows that spectacular transfuse micro that we saw earlier. I love that there's a bunch of pervy boys just cheering from above. Oh, they're pooping as well. It's the defecation strategy. You can see a few of them were pooping in the middle there. just trying to kind of BM the Protoss player a little bit, provide a bit of creep for the spines. Whoa, the blink forward, and let's watch for those transfuses. Oh, misses a transfuse, oh, not a single transfuse going down. Drone, oh, transfuse, a single band-aid landed on that queen right there. I saw it, another one on the top side, one landed on the Overlord accidentally as well, but it looks like there's just too much Protoss. Diodan overwhelms the Roach Queen assault and says, get out of my base, mate. You might have been popping Nydus worms left, right, and center, but I have a pack of Stalkers out for revenge. We've got better upgrades than you. We have a shit ton more army because you just have no actual supply. But the problem is, Drone Forever has pretty much unlimited resources and can just instantly rebuild 4 billion roaches. They're still unupgraded other than roach speed. So Drone Forever struggling with the supply as these Stalkers and Zealots come across the map here. They're going to go for that revenge attack. +2 attack, going to finish in about 10 seconds. Diodan move commanding forward like an absolute beast. And does decide to go for the attack move there. Blinks up to the high ground. Abandons the Zealots on the low ground. They say, really? Really, Stalkers? You're just going to leave us? The Stalkers are like, yeah, you guys are idiots, mate. It's the 27th century where we've got laser guns and robots and you're using little handheld lightsabers. Honestly, you guys were the soldiers that we knew failed the psych test, and they basically said, how can we get rid of them and maybe get some utility out of it? Give them lightsabers. We're not really going to give them armor. They've got shin pads as if they're rollerblading and a loincloth. So you're like, yeah, a loincloth just to cover up your parts. A couple of lightsaber handhelds. Yeah, you know. And the Zealot's like, yeah, let's fucking go. And the Protoss like, wow, they went for it? Shit, man. This is awesome. You know? For those of you who don't know, that's actually how they get rid of the undesirables in their society. Protoss, you're like, oh, they're so advanced. They're so awesome. No, Protoss are the kind of people who measure people's skulls and then decide if they're going to be criminals or not. Like, Protoss, they act all high and mighty, but let's be real, they're not the nicest people. Nydus Worm pops out from behind. Roaches from the left. A nice little sandwich here from Drone Forever. Drone Forever looks like it's going to be going for it. A Creep Tumor's going down. Is that Creep Tumor going to get up? It does! These drones, I'd love to see them build spines in the middle of this battle. Beautiful micro by Diodan. Move commanding on top of the Roaches to make sure the Roaches know that the Stalkers are indeed asserting their dominance. And the Roaches feel that dominance in the form of lasers in their face. But wait! Another pack of Roaches reinforces. Remember, Roaches attack by vomiting on their opponents. So we are going to see, oh man, not only are they given handheld lightsabers and a loincloth plus some shin pads, they also die to vomit on the face. Is there a worse way to go? Being a Zealot is just fucking terrible. Honestly, more of them warp in, no fucks given. They're like, yeah, fire. The Stalkers are like, we're robots. We don't even care about dying, man. They'll just take our soul and put it in someone else. The Roaches are just like throwing some vom, and they are looking like they might actually be able to overwhelm. The last few Stalkers are like, yeah, asserting dominance. But when you look around the field of battle and there's 47 of your dead comrades, you have 2 dudes left, and there's an endless wave of Zerg coming, I think at that point you realize, in fact, that you had dominance asserted upon you. You win. Diodan's going to accept defeat. A couple of tentacles popped up behind as well. In the midst of the battle, a couple of spiny boys just starting to whack away the way tentacles love to. And Diodan says, do you want to play again? What is this? Who possibly wants to play against someone who does this shit to them? Diodan! Holy crap, you wizard of a human. You absolute legend. You glorious human being. Takes defeat, says, that was an odd game. I would love to play against something like that again. Holy shit, Diodan confirmed better human than any of us. And Drone Forever takes the win. I wouldn't say decisively. I would say as slowly and annoyingly as possible. But hey, it was a gigantic economy. There was a lot of corporate greed. We saw a lot of human lives thrown into the meat grinder. Not even for profit so much as half the time it was just for the lulls of the people at the top. Of like, let's see how many of our workers we can kill using them as soldiers. As much as I'm sure they enjoyed that rare moment of being the gazelle, turning on those couple of Zealots and Stalkers, the next 20 minutes was drones just being thrown into the meat grinder. It was like being handed a saber and told to charge a machine gun nest. It was not the most pleasurable situation, but Drone Forever, the capitalist overlord, does end up forcing them to their death. Good on you, mate. I didn't even know that's capitalist. I think we... talking more just horrible totalitarian abuse of human rights, but whatever, we'll go with it. Thank you very much for that replay. I imagine that's Drone Forever who sent that in. GG, well played, mate. Good submission.